Um, we'll tell you a little bit about Ixia. Ixia is a public traded company. We've been around for roughly around 18 plus years, publicly traded. We've got operations throughout EMEA-wide. It's pretty strong, over 600 employees with labs in our Maidenhead office and in Romania. So we've been in this space, particularly in security, for quite some time. And I'll talk a little bit about some of the things that we do to help enable security, particularly for your clients and for yourselves. So why Ixia? One of the things is what we've seen, obviously, is the landscape's changed quite a bit, right? So more data is accessed everywhere. So from then to now, Internet of Things, global locations, cloud, it's all driven a lot of churn in the network and in the security environment. So more cloud means more IoT, means more mobility. So what we're seeing with our customers with things like SaaS, mobility, so a lot of people are bringing their own devices to the network, virtualizations, whether it's you're 100% virtualized, hybrid, or completely in the cloud, it's created some issues as well. And then if you look at what Verizon said, more than 40% of its users are cloud providers. When you remove the perimeter means more threats. So whether it's 24 seconds to every 36 minutes, there's some kind of pervasive threat that's happening in your network. That means you have to have more defensive tools. And what we've seen at Ixia, because we're a security enabler, we work with the whole ecosystem, that it puts a lot of impact on enterprises. So a lot of our clients, in some cases, have 32 or more security vendors they have to work with. That's pretty extensive, and that puts a lot of complexity and strain on the organization and the business. So whether you're dealing with threats to infrastructure prevention and protection, it's a big impact and challenge. Again, with that creates a lot of complexity. So your network, your environment, you're trying to get more customers, have an agile business while maintaining security and mobility for your employees. What that does, it does create some blind spots, so whether it's in your infrastructure or with the devices you're using in your security today. So what Ixia has introduced is the IX Secure architecture. There's two things that we do. We have a security test platform, so that's pre-production. So we ensure that you put the right tools into your network. And my presentation today will focus specifically on the security test platform. However, we do have a security fabric, which is post-production or production environment. And that helps deploy your tools seamlessly in a network. So whether you're using, let's say, a FireEye, Checkpoint, Palo Alto, Imperva, those Cisco will help deploy that in the production network. Reason why we operate in these two areas is really through what we call our ATI Research Center, and that's our Application Threat Intelligence Research Center. We take the inputs from that and apply that technology and from our research team into our products, from test to the visibility. That ensures that you have a better infrastructure and security posture. So I'm going to go a little bit further detail on our security testing platform. Why is it important to test? Well, threats have evolved. So whether it's volumetric DOS attacks, more advanced, and layer 7 types of attacks are happening in your network. So it's not, the complexities increase, as we've shown earlier. And as those evolved, you have things now coming out like ransomware. So the impact to your business, and it's happened obviously already here in the UK to a pretty decent government agency impact. So we've seen just so far with the CryptoWall family over $300 million US of impact. So it continues to be a major problem. So again, it's important that your security posture is proper. So when I talk about the types of attacks, why is it important to have realism? So when you're deploying a security tool, it uses a lot of deep packet inspection. Okay, well that looks at the payload, but not necessarily the realistic or real world traffic. And the more you have to look at that traffic, the more you impact your business. So it's really important to do a proper assessment under real-world scenarios of your devices. Here's an example. So in using the kind of a real proxy device parsing, where you have realistic data simulating real users and attacks versus fake data, which I hate to say it, that obviously security vendors love to use their spec sheets, and they're going to obviously have optimal performances. And what you've seen is bandwidth between real world and data sheet is not always correlate 100%. So whether it's the CPU load and your HTTP transactions, it all has major impact. So it's super important that you look at real world data on your devices. So traditional ways of measuring performance was RFC 2544, which is the right standard, but really at the wrong time. And the reason for that is it's not really based on applications. So what we've done, and I'll talk a little bit about an enterprise use case here, is we had an enterprise do a next generation firewall deployment. So they were looking for a single vendor deployment, different use cases, which we've kind of captured here, and all vendors said they do 10 gig throughput. So here's what's happened, which is, so you can come by and get more details of the booth, but between the vendors A, B, and C, look at the performance difference between the types of traffic on the network. So whether, if you look at the trading environment, obviously a huge impact in Office. So this is where where we simulate the types of traffic and the types of attacks on the network, you can get a real proper assessment of your vendors. The other great point of this is as your security vendors release firmware updates, you can do pre-deployment assessments as well. What we've done is we have allowed through our breaking point system and our Perfect Storm platform, it allows you to, within 3 days, to have quantifiable data and assess your security tools. So what we've done is with the vulnerability assessment, you can do penetration testing and security and code testing, but we really provide a security resilience testing. So that's real world workload and network and service readiness, and we've actually can do a lot of latest and greatest attacks with our honeypots globally through our ATI team. What that does is obviously reduces uncertainty. So a couple of things. Obviously, you make the right vendor selection, and you also typically have better business results, because the wrong vendor selection means you have to either buy more of the vendor or you have some impact to your business. Again, with the application threat and ATI center that we have, we've got Ixia Labs. So we've got over 900 contributing engineers between our labs and our contributing partners, global honeypots, web crawlers. We can do 6,000 live attacks with over 3,500 different malware and 330, or actually more than that now, with application signature families. That product is available in a virtualized version and in a physical appliance as well. So you can do it via software, or if you're doing a larger scale enterprise, use our hardware appliance. So that, I went very quickly, but that's basically Ixia test for security in a summary there.